Hello learners, I am Dr. Vishal Singh Chandel from REC Ambedkar Nagar. Today we are going to learn Fraunhofer diffraction at single slit and double slit. So, what is diffraction? Diffraction is nothing but bending of light around the corners of an obstacle, or it is encroachment of light in the geometrical shadow of an obstacle. It can also be defined as the interference in different parts of the same wavefront. It is nothing but the redistribution of intensity in space as in interference. So, next is Huygens-Fresnel principle of diffraction. According to Huygens-Fresnel principle, each point of the wavefront is a source of secondary wavelet, and these wavelet propagate with the speed of wave, and these waves have different amplitude in different directions. In forward direction they have maximum amplitude, and in backward direction they have 0 amplitude. That is why there is no backward wave. Fresnel added one point in this. Fresnel added that these secondary wavelets interfere and produce diffraction. This can be applied in single slit, double slit, multiple slit. So, what is difference between interference and diffraction? You can see that in interference pattern fringe width is same for bright, for dark. It is not always true. It may be constant, it may not be constant, but intensity of all bright is same in interference, intensity of all dark is same in interference. In case of diffraction, we can see fringe width is not constant in case of bright as well as in dark. Also, the intensity of all bright is not same and all dark is not same. Class of diffraction. There are two class of diffractions. One is Fresnel class of diffraction and the other one is Fraunhofer class of diffraction. Fresnel class of diffraction is classified as when the source and screen are at finite distances from the diffracting object, then it is said as Fresnel class of diffraction. In this case, we can see that wavefront is either spherical or cylindrical. Here lenses are not required. In case of Fraunhofer diffraction, we can see that the source and the screen are effectively at infinite distance, and the wavefront in this case is plane and lenses are required. Before start of next article, we should go for a mathematical analysis of resultant amplitude and phase of n simple harmonic waves of equal amplitude and frequency, but phase increasing in arithmetical progression. Here we have n number of waves as y1 as a sin omega t, y2 as a sin omega t plus d, y3 as a sin omega t plus 2d and so on, and yn as a sin omega t plus n minus 1d. Here we can see that amplitudes are same, frequency is same, and phase is increasing in arithmetical progression. So, the resultant can be obtained with the help of principle of superposition. Here principle of superposition is written here, capital Y is equal to y1 plus y2 plus y3 and so on. To get the resultant, we simply construct a polygon and each side of the polygon is representing the amplitude of the wave. The first wave is along x axis, it is OA, amplitude is A, AB is inclined at angle of D, it is again A and so on. The resultant can be obtained by connecting tail of first wave and the head of last wave. The resultant is R and it is at an angle of delta with the initial wave. To get the resultant, we simply resolve these. To get the resultant, we simply resolve all these segments in along horizontal and vertical axis, and it can be written as the horizontal component of resultant R is R cos delta along x axis, while amplitudes are along x axis are a cos d, a cos 2d, a cos n minus 1d and so on. Similarly, vertical component r sin delta as a sin d, a sin 2d plus a sin 3d and so on. These can be solved with the help of various mathematical operations. I have used a simple one. I have multiplied equations 1 and 2 by 2 sin d by 2, and applying simple trigonometrical operations we can get r cos delta as a sin n d by 2 cos n minus 1 d by 2 over sin d by 2 as equation 3, and r sin delta as a sin n d by 2 sin n minus 1 d by 2 over sin d by 2 as equation 4. On squaring and adding these equations, we can easily get the resultant amplitude as r is equal to a sin n d by 2 over sin d by 2. Similarly, the phase can be obtained by dividing equation 4 by equation 3, which will be delta as n minus 1 d by 2. These equations are very important because these equations will directly be used in next articles. Now, the Fraunhofer diffraction due to single slit. In this case, the pictorial representation of Fraunhofer diffraction at single slit is given here. Here we have a source S of wavelength lambda. It is at the focus of the lens L1, so that after refraction rays are parallel to principal axis of this lens L1, these parallel rays are allowed to fall normally on the slit AB whose width is E, and these parallel rays are focused with the help of an other lens L2 in the focal plane of the lens L2 at point O. The rays which are diffracted at an angle theta are also focused in the focal plane of same lens L2 at an arbitrary point P. We have to calculate intensity at this point P. To get the intensity at point P, we divide slit AB into n hypothetical parts with n very large, and these parts are producing a wave of amplitude A, such that when multiplied with n with A we get the total amplitude. If we assume that a ray is originating from point A and another ray is originating from point B and meeting at point P, then we can see that they are covering different path, and the path difference between them can be calculated with the help of triangle ABC, which is BC, and BC is AB sin theta, which is basically E sin theta. Once we have the path difference between the waves originating from the points A and B, the phase difference between them can be calculated as 2 pi over lambda E sin theta. As we have already assumed that we have divided this slit AB into n hypothetical parts, then the phase difference between consecutive waves will be d is equal to delta over n, that is 2 pi over n lambda E sin theta. Now, we have an expression that we have already calculated, that the resultant amplitude of n simple harmonic waves of equal amplitude, equal frequency, but phase increasing in arithmetical progression is as equation 5 earlier, which is r is equal to a sin n d by 2 over sin d by 2. Here again we have assumed a as a, small a as a, small n as small n, and d given by delta by n as 2 pi over n lambda E sin theta. Replacing these parameters in this expression, we have capital R as a sin n times 2 pi over n lambda E sin theta by 2 whole upon sin 2 pi over n lambda E sin theta by 2, which ultimately gives us R as a sin pi over lambda E sin theta over sin pi over n lambda E sin theta. Now, let us assume this term pi over lambda E sin theta as alpha. If we replace pi over lambda E sin theta by alpha, we have expression R is equal to a sin alpha over sin alpha by n. As n is very large, sin alpha by n will be very small, which is alpha by n. Sin alpha by n can be written as alpha over n. So, the expression becomes capital R is equal to small a small n sin alpha by alpha. This small a into n is replaced by capital A. So, capital R is equal to a sin alpha over alpha. Once we have the resultant amplitude, intensity can be calculated by squaring this term. Intensity is I is equal to a square sin square alpha over alpha square, where alpha is pi over lambda e sin theta. If we have expression for intensity, the condition for maxima and minima can be calculated. The simplest way to get the position of maxima and minima is by differentiating the expression of intensity with respect to variable alpha and making it 0 for maxima or minima. On differentiating, we have three terms. One is alpha is equal to 0, the second one is sin alpha is equal to 0, and the third one is alpha is equal to tan alpha. Alpha is equal to 0 and alpha is equal to tan alpha corresponds to maxima, while sin alpha is equal to 0 corresponds to minima. Principal maxima. If we go with alpha is equal to 0, we can see alpha is pi over lambda e sin theta is 0, which says theta is equal to 0. If alpha is equal to 0, intensity will be a square, as we have to calculate this intensity for limiting value of alpha, that is alpha tending to 0, it will be I as a square, and it is in the direction of the beam, incident beam. Secondary maxima can be calculated with the help of alpha is equal to tan alpha relation. To get this, we plot two graphs, y is equal to alpha and y is equal to tan alpha. The points of intersection of these graphs will provide the values of alpha, which will give secondary maxima. As we can see that y is equal to alpha graph can never touch the y axis. So, approximate values of alpha are 3 pi by 2, 5 pi by 2 or 7 pi by 2 and so on. Exact values are 1.43 pi, 2.46 pi and 3.46 pi and so on. For alpha is equal to 3 pi by 2, we can calculate intensity of first secondary maxima as given here. We replace alpha by 3 pi by 2 and get the intensity of first maxima as I naught into 4 pi over 9 pi square. It is I naught over 22.2. If we compare intensity of principal maxima with first secondary maxima, we can see that it is about 4.5% of principal maxima. So, intensity of first secondary maxima is 2 less than principal maxima. Minima can be obtained by the expression sin alpha is equal to 0. Making sin alpha is equal to 0, we get alpha is equal to plus minus m pi, and replacing alpha by pi over lambda e sin theta, we have an expression e sin theta is equal to plus minus m lambda. Here m cannot be 0 because m is equal to 0 will correspond to alpha is equal to 0, which will correspond to principal maxima. So, omitting this, we have m as 1, 2, 3 and so on, and m is the order of minima. And now, what is the effect of decreasing width of the slit? If we keep on decreasing the width of the slit, the envelope of central diffraction maximum will become broader. It will become broader if E is more than, if E is close to lambda, it will be like this. If E is approximately lambda, it will be like this. Means if E is equal to lambda, m is equal to 1, that is first order, the central maxima, principal maxima will fill the whole space. Now, angular and linear spread of principal maxima. From the figure it is very much clear, this is the variation of intensity with respect to alpha for single slit diffraction pattern. Here we can see that this is position of first minima, angular spread is theta, it is half angular spread, basically it is half angular spread will be twice of this theta, while the linear spread is twice of this term y. This can be calculated with the help of diffraction equation, which is E sin theta is equal to plus minus m lambda. For first order m is equal to 1, replacing this we have E sin theta is equal to plus minus lambda, theta is equal to sin inverse lambda over E. From this expression we can get the half angular width, by making it twice we can get the angular width of principal maxima. As we know theta is very small, sin theta is approximated as theta. So, this expression can also be written as theta is equal to plus minus E. Similarly, from the figure theta can also be written as in terms of the distance d and y from angle is equal to arc over radius, theta is equal to y over d. Our requirement is small I, which will be small y, which is here, and it is theta d. Total linear spread will be this, from this point to this point it will be capital Y as 2 theta d. From these expressions angular and linear spread can be calculated. Now, Fraunhofer diffraction due to double slit. Fraunhofer diffraction due to double slit uses the results of single slit. Here we have two slits instead of one slit, and both have same width and they are separated by a distance d. In slits the points which are separated by a distance E plus d are known as corresponding points. So, whenever we go for any calculation we do calculation with corresponding points only. To proceed further, we will assume here again that the slit AB and slit CD are producing a single wave of amplitude A sin alpha over alpha, which is the resultant of single slit at an arbitrary point P in space with R A sin alpha over alpha, alpha is same as earlier as pi over lambda E sin theta. Here lambda is the wavelength of the source, E is width of the slit and theta is angle of diffraction. So, in case of double slit we assume that we have two sources whose wavelengths are same, whose amplitudes are same as A sin alpha over alpha, and as they are from the same source they are coherent. The path difference between the waves originating from midpoint of slit AB and midpoint of CD can be calculated with the help of the small triangle shown there, which will be E plus d sin theta. The path difference between the waves which are originating from the midpoints of the slit AB and CD will be E plus d sin theta. The corresponding phase difference will be 2 pi over lambda E plus d sin theta. Now, as we know that the resultant amplitude due to superposition of two waves is given by expression r square as a1 square plus a2 square plus 2a1 into cos delta. Here we have already assumed that the slits AB and CD are producing single wave of amplitude A sin alpha over alpha, and delta is the phase difference between these two waves. So, r square will result a square sin square alpha over alpha square a square sin square alpha over alpha square plus 2 times a sin alpha over alpha a sin alpha over alpha into cos delta, which on simple mathematical procedure will give you r square as a square sin square alpha over alpha square cos square beta. Here we have used beta as delta by 2, that is pi over lambda E plus d sin theta. So, intensity in case of double slit Fraunhofer diffraction at double slit is I is equal to r square 4 times a square sin square alpha or alpha square cos square beta. In this expression we can see there are two terms, one term is sin square alpha over alpha square and the second term is cos square beta. The first term sin square alpha or alpha square we have already seen in single slit, it is known as diffraction term, while the second term cos square beta is known as interference term. The variation of cos square beta is shown here, while the variation of sin square alpha over alpha square is shown here. What we see is the superposition of these two patterns, that is here sin square alpha or alpha square cos square beta. Position of maxima and minima. Maxima, interference maxima can occur when cos beta is plus minus 1. If cos beta is plus minus 1, beta corresponds to plus minus n pi, and beta is already known to us, that is pi over lambda e plus d sin theta. On replacing this, we have e plus d sin theta is equal to plus minus n lambda as the equation governing the direction of interference maxima. Here n is 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on, it is order of the interference maxima. Minima, the intensity will be minimum for two different values, for alpha and for beta. It will be 0 for alpha plus minus m pi. Here again m cannot be 0 because it will correspond to principal maxima. This when alpha is replaced by pi over lambda e sin theta, we have equation e sin theta is equal to plus minus m lambda, as earlier it is diffraction minima, the same equation that we have already seen. The term cos beta will be 0 when beta is equal to pi by 2, 3 pi by 2 and so on, and in general it is beta is equal to n plus half pi. When beta is replaced by pi over lambda e plus d sin theta, we have equation e plus d sin theta is equal to odd multiple of lambda by 2 or n plus half lambda. Here again n is 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. This equation is governing interference minima. Now, the next article is missing orders in double slit. As we have already seen, the interference maxima is governed by equation E plus d sin theta is equal to plus minus n lambda, and the diffraction minima is governed by equation E sin theta is equal to plus minus m lambda. Now, if we divide equation 1 by equation 2, then what happens? We have an expression like E plus d by E is equal to n by m. Now, what will happen if E is equal to d? If E is equal to d, then we have an expression like n is equal to 2m. This is a situation when some maxima are absent, because both n and m are integers, there is, and for all integers this equation cannot hold. So, whenever this situation arises, second, fourth, sixth, eighth order maxima will remain absent. Similarly, if d is equal to 2e, we can simply see that third order, sixth order, ninth order principal maxima will remain absent. So, up till now we have seen Fraunhofer diffraction at single slit, at double slit and missing orders. For recap, we can see first we have calculated resultant amplitude and phase of n simple harmonic waves of equal amplitude, equal frequency, but phase in arithmetical progression, and the resultant was capital R is equal to a sin n d by 2 or sin d by 2, and the resultant phase was delta is equal to n minus 1 d by 2. These two results are very important because these two results are directly used in single slit and double slit. Then Fraunhofer diffraction due to single slit. Here we have assumed that the single slit AB was divided into n hypothetical parts and each part was producing a wave of amplitude small a, and as they are producing amplitude same amplitude and they are consecutively arranged, the path difference or phase difference between them is constant. So, this situation is very much similar to the last article. So, it was directly applied in the relation r is equal to a sin n d by 2 over sin d by 2. Here as we have already assumed a as a, d as n as n and d as given here, we can directly calculate resultant as r is equal to a sin alpha is by alpha, and these are directly used in our next articles. In case of Fraunhofer diffraction due to double slit, we have used result of single slit directly, then assumed that two coherent sources are interfering and the resultant was there. Then we have seen missing orders in double slit. Thank you, learners.